Hello, my friends, and welcome to another podcast episode. Thank you so much for joining me here in this space. Today, I want to share with you a story that comes from my experience over the last few weeks of having many different conversations with so many female practitioners who are sensitive and conscientious practitioners who really, really care, who are doing really great work with their clients, and yet they are feeling overwhelmed, stretched out, beyond their comfort, not in a good way, and who are just trying desperately to keep staying productive, to keep showing up, even though their bodies are saying very clearly that they need rest. If you are feeling like this, I really hear you. And I have got my own version of it at the moment. It's been such a busy year. There's been so much that I've done, that the women that I'm working with have done. And this is also a really busy time of the year, with Christmas coming up, with the end of the year, with many commitments that we have within our families, within our work. And this time of the year, the nature, the energy of nature, the wisdom of nature, and the wisdom of seasons is asking us to slow down. And so many of us are caught in this energy of the body is saying, the whole being, the whole soul, the whole being is saying, I want to slow down. I want to start to prepare to hibernate. The days are short. It gets really dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so many of us are craving this slower pace. There is a lot of snow across the northern parts of UK. I'm in the south, so right here where I live is just really, really, really cold and windy, cold and windy. And so how do we find this balance between this energy of our whole being wants to slow down because we are tired, because the last 10 or 11 months have been so full on, and the expectation of our society and our the commitments that we have this time of the year is to keep going, keep showing up, keep doing what we are doing. How do we work with those two very opposing energies that so many of us hold within our bodies? And so my invitation to you, if you are feeling like this, is to first acknowledge how you are feeling. First, we have to start with acknowledgement of something happening for us. What I see a lot is that so many of us try to jump into fixing things, into this kind of solution focus approach, before we even allow ourselves to understand what is really going on for us, the complexity of our experience, the tenderness of our experience. Because we know that the society and our conditioning is pushing us continuously with its expectations to perform and to keep pushing. The hustle culture is strong and full on. We know on a mind level that doing less can create more impact, a deeper kind of impact, a deeper connection with ourselves, with our loved ones, with our clients, with our communities. We know that on a mind level. And yet there are parts within us that keep driving us, keep pushing us into doing more, into keep showing up. One of those things that I see a lot is this misunderstanding around what consistency within our business is. And consistency means showing up on a consistent basis of a longer period of time. Consistency is important, of course, and I've talked about this in the podcast before. But this consistency and how we show up and the rhythm of our showing up, this rhythm and the pace is different for each one of us because it's different within the context of our bodies and our lives. And this is where we have to start with. This is what we have to start with first. We have to first understand what's true for us. And that includes our body's needs. That includes the wholeness of us, the soma, psyche, and soul. That includes the life stage that we are at. That includes maybe any challenges that we might have, whether they are physical challenges or mental challenges, or whether they are hormonal challenges. We have to take into consideration everything that is going on for us and translate it into a system within which we are living. Our body is one big system. Our relationships and family is another system. Our work is another system. Our community is another system. Our country, the whole of the planet, the whole of the universe. We are part of nature. We are nature. We're not separate from nature, and yet we live as we could completely disconnect from nature, as we could win at ignoring it, as we could work against our natural cycles, whether these are menstruation cycles or whether these are cycles within the nature. One of the things that is so obvious to me when I work with other practitioners is that we know that rest is so important. We know that rest is vital for us to be able to reconnect with our creativity, to create from our heart and our soul, to connect with others through our heart and our soul, to have a regulated nervous system in physiology. This rest and work and play cycles need to be in balance, need to be in harmony. And yet so many of us feel so much guilt, sometimes even shame around resting. There are so many words that people use within our society that we are exposed to on a daily basis, like, you will sleep when you're dead, or you will rest when you're dead. Or if you want it badly enough, you've got to work at it. The more you work, the more likely you will get it. And we translate it into how we structure our business and how we work within our business. Let me ask you one question. Do you incorporate restorative practices and somatic practices into your day? Do you take time to have breaks between clients? Do you have a proper lunch break? Do you move your body, like go for a walk lunchtime? Do you finish your day's work before you are completely exhausted? I know these are some of the reflections that I've been sitting with. I had a real tendency of pushing through and just doing one more thing. There is years of conditioning that came from living in another country and working in social care, where there is so much work and not enough time in a day to do it all. And of course, when I was working in social care, I was also working part-time in my business. And often I would be studying alongside of it as well. And so this conditioning about how important productivity is, how the value that you have is correlated to the level of productivity that you do. And no wonder that so many of us are exhausted. So many of us are feeling overwhelmed. So many of us are hitting burnout or experienced burnout in the past. When you understand the nervous system, you understand that when we talk about regulated or dysregulated nervous system, it doesn't exist by itself. The nervous system lives within the body, within our physiology, which means that when we talk about regulated or dysregulated nervous system, we're talking about the reaction and responses of our physiology, the whole of our body. So, for example, we talk about stress. And many of us think about stress as a emotional and mental thing. Oh, I am so stressed. I'm just keep thinking about this, keep replaying this scenario in my mind. I'm just feeling so stressed and anxious about it. And we forget that it's in the body, within the body, within our physiology, within every single system within our body, that we hold then that stress as a tension, as an impact, for example, on our breathing, on our hormonal system, on our digestion, on our energy levels, on our blood pressure, on the level of inflammation within our body. This is really important to understand. This is the stuff that makes the difference. This is when we understand, or we start understanding, about the price that we pay of a constant myth and hustle and productivity. This is when we start understanding that the price for working and living in a certain kind of way is really high, really, really high. This is when we start redefining our idea of success. We start changing it to be more in alignment with our core values and with what matters most in our lives, our true priorities. But to be able to do that, we have to step away from the constant busyness, constant doing. We need space and spaciousness to be able to connect with what's really important to us. Let me ask you another question. Do you remember last time when you or somebody you love got ill? how suddenly everything that was so important falls away. I remember when I was really sick at the beginning of the year, and I went to visit my parents. I booked the ticket for 4 days, here, and fly over there, come back. And then when I was there, it turned out that I, through the blood test, that I was really, really sick. And I had to be admitted straight away as an emergency into hospital, had blood transfusions, had emergency operation the next day. And everything that I was so worried about, everything that I needed to do had to be put on pause. I had to step back. I had to acknowledge that the priority was me getting better, acknowledging that I couldn't fly back, acknowledging that I just needed to stay where I was, in a safe place with a lot of support, and take time to recover. Work was very low on the level of the list of my priorities at the time. I allowed myself to step back. I allowed myself to just rest. And that made all the difference. And in that situation, for me, it was the situation that was resolved pretty quickly and really in an amazing way. When I think back to that, I'm just so amazed of, how quickly and efficiently it was dealt with. But there are other situations that maybe we cannot resolve so quickly. Maybe it requires us to take a bigger step back from the busyness. And so for me, when I think about this, is this remembering that when you think about consistency, when you think about showing up, when you think about building your business, when you think about doing amazing work with your clients, when you think about productivity, you need to remember that everything is built on your ability to show up and do things in a certain kind of way. And that you are not a machine. You are not a machine. You are an amazing, living, breathing, organic being full of light that moves and breathes and needs nourishment. And if we follow our breath and the wisdom of our breath and the wisdom of nature, we know that everything exists in cycles. There is a day and night. There is activity and rest. There is in-breath and out-breath. There is productivity and then there is rest. And so if we don't follow this natural cycle, if we do not allow ourselves to be this magnificent, breathing, living, organic, beautiful nature expressing itself, the life expressing itself, and we buy into the industrial myth of productivity, of making it happen, the hustle and solution-focused approach, we are buying into the myth that somehow we can become a machine if we only try hard enough. And that's a really sad, sad, sad way of living our life. And so how can we take care of ourselves? How can you take care of yourself? If you are feeling tired, if you are feeling like you need rest, if you are feeling like you've been so busy through the whole year and you just need to slow down in alignment with the nature all around you, what needs to happen for you to do it in a conscientious, intentional way, without having to wait for your body to stop you in your tracks, without having to wait for your body to say no for you. And if you then apply it to the way that you live your life, if you apply it to the way that you work, that you structure your work, that you create things in your work, taking that next step to bring that understanding, to bring those principles when you are planning for 2025 or for the next year. Because one of the things that I know for sure is that if we do not do, if we do not live our life intentionally, if we do not take enough breaks, our body or our bodies will do it for us. There is a wisdom within our bodies that is so often unacknowledged and misunderstood. And if we can acknowledge what's really going on, we can make decisions and make choices from that space. So the invitation here for you today is, what's one thing you could do for yourself to really honor your needs, to understand, first of all, your needs, to understand how you're feeling, to really honor your needs with kindness, with tenderness, with compassion, so you live your best life, not sometime in the future, but right here, right now, the only place that you can live your life, which is now. And make decisions from that space, knowing that it will impact you, but it will also impact directly and indirectly your loved ones, your clients, your community, and the world in its wholeness and in its beauty. Take care of yourself, and I hope this resonated. Take care for now.